Hello, Matthew here. So, just going to come and talk a little bit about exposing evil, exposing the evil that people are doing, exposing the evil that governments commit, exposing the terrible things that people do that they conspire to do, and then they try to make law. In the Bible, Ephesians 11 or 5, chapter 11, it says, "Do not participate in the useless deeds of darkness." But instead expose them, for it is disgraceful to speak of the things which are done by them in secret, but all things become visible when they are exposed by the light, for everything that becomes visible is light. So those two statements or three statements there are standalone. The main point of the statement that's made in that passage is that we as Christians are to expose the evil that people do, the evil that's being done, wherever it may be done. Uh, Darkness, the evil of darkness. And I'm specifically here today to talk about the evil that the government commits. There was a time not that long ago when if you heard about abortion, you heard about it as kind of a fringe thing. It just something that occasionally a woman would do because she you know didn't have the money to take care of the baby or whatever. It was just a fringe thing. It was something that yeah, they won the quote unquote right to do it in the Supreme Court in the 1970s with the Roe versus Wade case, but it was a fringe thing, kind of like cross dressers used to be. We call them transgender people now, but back then in the old days we called them cross dressers. They were just men who dressed like women or women who dressed like men, and they acted like men and women. They acted like the opposite gender. Nobody really took it very seriously because it was just in the fringe, it was in the background. And so the same thing with abortion. Abortion was just something that it was they were technically allowed to do it, but it was something you didn't hear a whole lot about because people were ashamed of it. They were ashamed when they had to do it. When they felt like they had to do it, they were ashamed of it. There was a lot of people who had these abortions, and then they would kill themselves, and they would do all kinds of terrible things, to themselves, and just have horrible lives because they knew that they had killed their children. But now, not only is abortion mainstream because of the people on the far left of politics, but it's celebrated. People actually celebrate the abortion of children. And now we're moving into another era where the abortion issue is being taken to an even further extent. There are people in high levels of authority, including at least some of the people that are going to be in the White House. At least one of the people that's going to be in the White House, we're pretty sure Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris or however she said her name is spoken is pronounced, uh, is at least technically in favor of abortion up to and even past the time of the child's birth. We know Hillary Clinton said this pretty much in an interview. She didn't come right out and say the exact words, but she gave a very very strong indication that she believes that a mother has a right to take life of her baby at any stage, even after the baby's born. She kept kind of skirting the issue and making it sound like it was all about the women's choice. She didn't really come right out and say those exact words. Yes, I'm in favor of infanticide, but she left very little option. She left very little choice for us to see. For us, when it comes to what she believes and what she supports. Um, when I do things like when I'm on Facebook, and I sometimes I make some pretty just disgusting comments. Sometimes I'll be honest. I make disgusting comments. I make comments that could be hurtful to certain people, but I do it for one reason. I don't do it because I'm a bitter person or because I hate people or because I'm angry at people or anything like that. I make these comments like the one I made today on People magazine. They were talking about how there was a singer that who was her child has a birth defect, and she's going to have to, when the baby's born, she's going to have the baby operated on. And I said something like, well, if Biden and Harris get in there, then she may have the option of just euthanizing the baby, depending on how far Biden and Harris go. And of course, a lot of people were very offended by that, and I would be too if I just didn't understand the context of what I was saying. Especially, I would be offended by that, because that's a terrible thing to say. But it's not being said accidentally or coincidentally, or because of some sort of bitterness or desire for me to vent or anything like that. I said that, and I say these other things when I go onto these, Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and wherever. I say these things to get people's attention, because if, let's say, for instance, I just went on CNN or People magazine and I just said abortion is a sin, killing your child is wrong, what would people do? People would just go, oh, he's just a troll, he's a nutcase, he's a religious guy, and they just skip over it, because it's it's a standalone statement that has nothing to do with what's going on. But if I make that statement relevant in some way to a discussion or to an article that's being posted, and it hits home, the first reaction that people are going to have, of course, is disgust and revolt and anger and how dare you say something such as this and all this kind of thing. And I get it. I would have that same reaction too. The only problem is that if I don't do that, then nobody ever stops. It never hits home. It never goes from just reading to acknowledgement, mental acknowledgement of what's being said. And when we're playing this game, this end game, which is what we are playing right now. This is the end. We're at the end of life, I think. I honestly believe so. We're playing for big stakes, and people who don't make an effort to make sure that people understand that these evil things are really truly happening, they're not going to get the point across, and people are never going to be forced to face the reality of these things. I mean, a person can stand on a street corner with a sign that says repent from your abortion, repent from this and that and the other, and nobody's going to notice it. But if you stand, let's say, in front of an abortion clinic, and you got a picture of a baby, and the baby's saying, please, mommy, don't murder me, now that's a terrible thing. I mean, that's a horrible prospect to look at that innocent child and hear those words, see those words, please, mommy, don't murder me. And it to some people, it's considered a low, underhanded tactic. But if it gets your attention and makes you think about what's happening, it might be worth it. So please understand that the way I do things is not to hurt people's feelings. It's to get people's attention. And you're not going to get people's attention when people are so mentally and spiritually and emotionally closed off to something as horrible as the murder, the outright murder of babies. I mean, you talk about murdering babies, slaughtering babies, killing babies, all these different things, and people put those little laughing, the little laughing symbols under that when you say stuff like that. We're talking about people who are utterly and totally depraved. They have no conscience whatsoever. So if you don't ruffle their feathers and make them and tick them off, they never see what you're saying. There's no mental or acknowledgement of it whatsoever. They never see it. So you have to say something. You have to get under their skin in order for them to see what's happening and what you're talking about, and for them to understand it. And it ticks them off. And I'm sorry if you're ticked off by me objecting to the outright slaughter of literally millions of babies in this country and in this world. If you're ticked off by that, if that offends you, then you are the bad person in this scenario, not me. If you're offended by me telling you that about the evil things that are happening in this world, the murder of babies and all these different things that are happening, if that offends you and you're not offended by the acts themselves, by the things that are actually happening, then there's something wrong with you. You need help. You need something. You need Jesus. You need help. You need to hear the truth. It's not me. I'm not the problem. If you're offended by me calling out people, evil people, for doing evil things, but you're not offended by the evil things that people are doing, then there's something wrong with you, and you really, really need to take a second look at yourself, at your life. That's all I have to say.